Well, everybody, wouldn't you know who's late to the party? It's me. It would have rhymed to say Mr. ENT just now, but it would have been very cringe. But nonetheless, I did delay like 2 days or something. When the fuck did this episode comes out? It comes out on Monday. What day is it? It's just become Wednesday for me, an hour and 40 minutes ago. I would tell you to look in the corner to see it, but you can't because I got an image on screen. I delayed watching The Last of Us. It's very interesting. I had a very similar feeling to the feeling I had watching House of the Dragon towards the end, where for whatever reason, I was like scared to watch it a little bit, I think. I don't have any insight on this feeling other than it's a feeling, and I've only had it for these last 2 series. And it's the first series in a long time I've ever watched as they're coming out, I think. So I don't have anything else to connect it to. But it's not like, oh, I don't want to watch it because then it'll be over and I have to wait a week or something. But it's this scaredness of watching something new or something. But I didn't have that with the Chainsaw Man chapters recently. And I didn't have that, and I never have that when I watch a movie for movie night. So I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So yeah, because he's a homophobe. But remind me to bring up this funny interaction we had. Maybe it's because it's an adaptation. Well, that's something those two things do have in common. Something they both have in common also is changes. Juicy changes that are probably the best things about the show. Not to imply that the things in the original text are bad, but just that sometimes you change things if you want to be good, unlike the Chainsaw Man anime. But we're getting ahead of ourselves once again. It's because you're lazy? I don't know. That actually might be it. But like I watched a Mad Men episode right beforehand because I'm like, that's safe and fun. But I don't know. Maybe. Chainsaw Man chapters are shorter. The length probably does have something to do with it. Miller might have... He's trying to be mean, but he might have hit the nail on the head. You're afraid of discourse? That's definitely not true. That's fun. Where do we want to go first? We're not talking about the Chainsaw Man chapter. Miller's trying to in chat. I haven't read it yet. I will be reading it afterwards. Me and Ari have caught up, and our next part of the Chainsaw Man reread will be out imminently. But that's for another day. Nope, I didn't even know it was out. See, Elite Ari doesn't know nothing. Nonetheless, where the fuck do we start? I literally watched the episode like 15 or 20 minutes ago, or finished watching it. So we definitely didn't take notes, and we're definitely all over the place. What do we start with? Oh, homophobe stuff. I had finally said, because I hadn't watched it, and everybody was kind of getting on me to watch it in the Discord, so I said, I'm not watching it out of protest. And I didn't even... Well, I guess I did know it was the Bill episode, and I had heard that there was more gay stuff than there is in the game. So I didn't even realize the irony when I said that. It was in response to... I think Ari said he also hadn't watched it, but then he did say he'd watched it, and then I said, I'm not watching it out of protest, because it was a funny response to something Ari said. But that, in turn, is funny out of context, because apparently there are some people mad because Lamau gay stuff. So that's the funny thing, and that's why Mr. R is calling me a homophobe in chat. Because I was going to not watch it out of protest. Now, read it in time for Carl's live reaction after this. That is not an impossibility, but you can watch the stream VOD to see if I actually did read the Chainsaw Man chapter live after stream. I don't think I want to do that. I think I like Chainsaw Man too much. No more Chainsaw Man talk. Actually, there will be some more Chainsaw Man talk, but not really. Imagine if you watched this episode and you didn't play the video game. Like, it would still probably be good, but like the best thing about the episode is the subversion. And it's the best one I've seen in so long. It was so great. The fact that Bill killed himself too. Oh my God! What an episode. Because the whole time you're thinking, oh, Frank's going to hate Bill because he'll have gotten rid of the pill so they can't kill themselves, so we'll be in the position for where we were in the game. And I'm trying to constantly get it back on track with the game and be like, how do we get to this? And for them to show up and for you to figure it out in the scene that he's killing himself too. Oh my God, what a fucking moment. And you spend so long on it to the point where it's almost indulgent, or more so I'm fearful that other people will call it indulgent. Which is another recent phenomenon I've been having when I'm watching things, of constantly thinking, man, people are going to dislike this. I'm ready to defend it. I had that a lot with House of the Dragon too. But I could see people complaining. I actually was out with some friends and they were talking about the episode Oh, and they said Bill died, but I was like, no, they're thinking about Frank. So it wasn't even a spoiler. But they were talking about it, and one of them was like, oh, it's just a filler episode. But then his girlfriend got pissy with him. Good girlfriend, I guess. Where did that point come from? I was yelling about Subversion, how great it is, the greatest thing I ever saw. Oh, this also connects to another bullshit mystery and talking point about this Spider-Man shit I've been going on recently about the a different iteration of a similar story where the best moment in that fucking Spider-Man movie is when Aunt May becomes Uncle Ben and gives a speech. And it's so great because it's the thing you know has to happen, but it's in a slightly different context. And it's cool. And I don't know why it's so great, but it just is. And it's a similar thing like that. But I guess it's not because it's different. But The Last of Us now feels like a different iteration of that story. And it had sort of gone back and forth in the last 2 episodes where I wasn't sure. I liked the last 2 episodes a lot. I don't know. Like, I would never say that it's, like, better than the game, because I think I already thought they were different enough, and this sort of goes back to the Chainsaw Man thing, because Ari tries to say that the Chainsaw Man anime is different enough, but it's just not. It's just trying to be the same things, and it's just adding in filler shit when it needs to. I feel like The Last of Us is trying to be in the same way Spider-Man is different iteration to iteration, this is different iteration to iteration, where we're going to the same place. We all know it. We've already confirmed this week that Season 2 is happening, and we're going to the same place there. Incredible stuff. My God, we were also talking about that at dinner tonight. That was great. Golf clubs are out. God, golf club jokes are just the best, aren't they? I fucking hate Joel. Just kidding. We like him. Abby did a bad thing. I feel like I forgot to give this warning at the beginning. This is obviously spoilers for everything Last of Us related. You should not be watching this if you're just watching the HBO series and trucking along like a moron. Like a mouth-breathing illiterate. That's what we call the non-manga readers. What do we call the non-game players? Normal people with normal lives that don't like fucking video games? Maybe I'm one of them now. But you should be playing Naughty Dog games. My point with the Spider-Man iteration thing. I feel like I got the point out. And it's the Bill stuff, but it's different. My goodness, it's so great. And the difference is, and part of the whole thing is that it plays off of, like, your expectations. And it's not just generally a subversion of, like, goes into dark thing and there's no monster. Crazy. What a subversion. I love them too. But it's like playing with... It's sort of the arrogance of the viewer, because they have to know that you know that Bill is not going to die. And it's not even the dying thing. It's throughout the whole thing of sort of like, you see them and they're happy, and you're like, oh, it has to go bad because that's how it went in the game. And you're sort of waiting for it, and they tease it, like, going from the sex scene to like 3 years later and they're screaming at each other, and it's like, oh, Lamau, now they're the funny arguing couple. How cute. We love them. I love toxic relationships. But then they sort of overcome that. And then I guess this is kind of for the people who... Because you have to know that, like, oh, obviously this is a zombie apocalypse show. This all has to come crumbling down. So when Bill gets shot, if you haven't seen the game, you're just watching the show, you're like, all right, Bill's dead, of course. And I was before all this. We're going to a different tangent, so I'll forget where I was. Remind me. The Lanor conversation with the what's the fucking trope about the gay characters always dying? Bury your gays or whatever. And I was like, oh, it's going to be another version of that, and we can hear people complaining about that again. And I already had all my defenses ready for, like, oh, you can't criticize individual stories for doing it. It's a general trend. I had them all lined up. And then it somehow subverts it by them both dying, because they die happy together. Oh my goodness, they get a happy ending through death, through the burying. He was in a hole earlier, Lamau. And then they show the hole later, and you're like, oh, he's going to put him back in the hole. But Bill died too. And they stayed in the bed. Oh my goodness. What a television show. What a program. So to get back to where I was talking about, I forgot. You better have reminded me, chat. I saw chat was alight. Miller somehow wants to talk about whether or not suicide is moral or something, or whether or not the show is promoting suicide. What a fucking idiot. Way to miss the point here. Who gives a fuck about morals when we're in the emotions of the moment? My goodness gracious me. I'll read chat, and hopefully by the end you'll remind me where I was. I had no idea who the fuck these two characters were. Elite Ari's an illiterate. We've already established this. Episode currently has a 4.2 on score on Metacritic. It's funny because on IMDb it has a 9.4, which I think is one of the best scores I've ever seen. I think the best Boardwalk Empire episode had a 9.4. I think the Red Wedding has a 9.7. And I think one of the Sopranos episodes, it's probably fucking Pine Barrens. What a piece of shit fucking episode. I think that has a 9.9. That's fucking disgusting. Oh my goodness. Imagine what a fucking show. And to give that one. How shit. But it has a 9.4, and I was like, well, that's a big number. So in contrast to the Metacritic thing, now I see, because I looked over at current chat, I see Mr. R, I think, is saying that it has a user score. I now have remembered that Metacritic has like a critic score and a user score or something. The point is, I think people like it a lot. Everything I saw on Twitter, which is going to select, I guess is the right word I'm talking, select for probably more progressive people, and it's all basically the games people. Like I saw Andy Cortez tweet and somebody else about like, this is the best episode of television I've ever seen or something. So yeah, it was interesting. I'm excited for the RTTV gay sex scene reaction. Yeah. Let's hope they avoid getting themselves into hot water. I somehow don't know. Maybe they'll be better than I thought, or than I'm thinking. I mentioned earlier, and I think this was before the stream, but I only watched the Normies reaction next week. So the coming hours will be very indicative of whether or not I just watch the Normies week to week from now on, or if I watch everybody's. Because I got 2 reactions to catch up on, and I don't see myself actually doing it. I think it's part of that laziness thing we were talking about. Laziness to not watch reactions. What world are we fucking living in? My good health choices are preventing me from watching more reactions, I think. But I kind of want to watch them. Yeah, you're like, oh, the next episode will be when Bill meets Joel and Ellie. Yes, that was definitely what I was thinking. Yeah, because I kept checking it. I'm like, it's going to be fun when Bill interacts with Ellie. That'll be fun. That's like my favorite bits from the game. It might literally be my favorite bit, all the Bill stuff from the first game. That is. Not the second game, as we know. Miles better. But yeah. And I should be mad, they didn't do the funny Bill Ellie stuff. But no, we're doing different things, so that's cool. I'll just go back and watch those scenes if I'm mad about it or whatever. Too many homosexual for 1 hour. You kill a character which should be living. Very bad. Series. One of the reviews. Oh, okay, yeah. That would be interesting. I bet we're not mad about the gays. We're mad that Bill died. All right, that's what we're mad about here. That would be funny. A character that never really comes back. I was reminded while I was watching it that one of my my pitches before I had a channel and before The Last of Us Part 2 had come out or had any trailers, I think my idea for the opening bit of the second game would be that Ellie was now living with Bill. And it was probably just an excuse to get them back on screen together. But I'm like, she left Joel because she's mad and she's working through some things because she kind of suspects that he's a lying bastard. And she goes to live with Bill. This Bill's place being so nice in the show compared to like it's kind of shitty in the game will lead to some questions of like, why don't they just go back to Bill's? I guess Jackson is probably going to be... Jackson's is probably... Even in the game, Jackson is probably better than Bill's place, right? You get a bit of a community going. Loneliness would probably be bad. I guess that's not a plot hole that they have to explain away later. It's interesting the show does the inverse of the game here with Bill being alone in the game, but finding companionship in the show, both teaching Joel the same lesson. Who gives a fuck about teaching lessons? Not me. The anime is obviously different enough, and you're very wrong. Leave Elite Ari alone, alright? He's a sweet boy. We won't pick on him. Nick Offerman needs an Emmy right now. Is that Bill or Frank? Now, I've definitely seen Bill in something before, and I've definitely heard his voice in something before, but I cannot place it. So I'm going to tab over, and you can't see this chat. Where the fuck did that comment go? Nick Offerman. It's Bill, I can see from the little preview. Now, what the fuck have I seen this prick in, huh? Park and Recreation? Haven't seen that one. He writes books, I guess? Because there's a books category here. What the fuck have I seen with this prick in it, huh? Somebody tell me. I'm probably not going to find it here. Movies and TV shows. Let's click on this. 21 Jump Street. I have seen that movie. I don't remember anything about it or him in it. Tom and Pammy. Haven't seen it. I remember Red Letter Media talking about it. That was interesting. The Lego Movie. Probably heard him in that one. Don't remember though. Lego Movie 2. Didn't know it existed. I give up, chat. I'm scrolling too far down. But I'm pretty sure I saw him in something. But he was pretty good in this, so I like him. The fact that he started off as an incel doomsday prepper, majorly channeling his Ron Swanson vibes only to become a longing, empathetic character is so good. It was interesting, and I do like that they made him a prepper, but like didn't actually have that really be part of his character at all. There are obviously a lot of tropes you can lean into on that, and because obviously you understand that anything Druckmann touches is going to have a left-leaning touch, it's like, ooh, are we making Bill Alex Jones here, and are we going to shit on him? That obviously compounds with the gayness stuff, and how a left-leaning show would probably want to portray that. It would have been interesting if, well, I guess that would just be like a self-hating gay thing if we wanted to make him a hyper right-wing nut. But then the contrast of that, of having Ellie show up later and this dude's a genius. When it's like, oh no, he was obviously an idiot. Preppers are all dumb, Lamau. And sort of the inversion on that was very interesting. But yes. IMDb has a lot of 7.7, the number plus episodes. Yes, I hear Attack on Titan shamelessly has a bunch of them because of illiterates. User score, not score. I already read that one. Was Bill the guy in Ellie got a porn mag from? That's one of the only... Yes, that's the dude. It is upsetting we won't get the porn mag joke, which was it's one of the defining Ellie characteristics or moments. Characterizations is probably the word I was looking for. The Ellie characterization, they're leaning in... Man, if these fucking idiots were smart, they would listen to me and they would be mad about Ellie character assassination. They are playing up Ellie being a little more fucked up than she is in that first game, especially pre-winter stuff. Ellie in The Last of Us 2 is pretty fucked up. I think we all understand this. But I feel like part of the reason that works so well is that she really wasn't in the first game. There is, and I talked about this last week too, where they're sort of nailing the funny aspects and the sassy aspects of Ellie, but I feel like the sort of innocent factor, that's not even the right word, and I said factor like a fucking yank just now. They're missing that sort of underbelly, like the niceness of her, which is interesting. We could be changing things, but it does feel off in some senses, in some, instances. This episode sucks because Bill's most likely won't be in the third game. Yes, okay. Bill's place requires a lot of work to maintain. Bill only managed because he's a paranoid prepper. Bring Tommy and whatever the fuck, but yeah. Jackson's probably better. Bill, I thought Bill was Blackbeard initially. Elite RE. Is that the vibe I got? It might have been. Huh. That makes a lot of sense. I was thinking Black Sails, but then I was thinking Hornigold, and then I was like, obviously it's not Hornigold. But that is interesting. It's the beards. They remind me of Black Sails, alright? You will 100% have seen Parks and Rec clips. Maybe. Such Ron Swanson. What is this? This was the prepper dude or something. Ron Swanson actor. Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever seen this. I'm assuming Parks and Rec is one of the comedy shows like Philadelphia or something. But I don't know if I've ever seen this. And this definitely isn't the thing I was thinking of. I was definitely thinking of him with like the full grey beard at the end. Reminded me of something. But yeah. She did seem like a little psycho when she cut and killed that infected. That was interesting because you could sort of play that off. Now, that obviously is the scene that highlighted this for me this episode. But you can sort of play... I don't know. Her no-selling it as she came back up, it sort of felt like Ellie. It's interesting. But we'll keep an eye on this as we're moving forward. What else is there to talk about? They changed... Oh, there was one instance of them keeping the exact same dialogue, and I was a little dork. I was saying it all to myself before they said it, like somebody was watching, because I'm mentally ill. But the conversation at the end, oh my god, I can't even remember it now. It's, they stuck the post running from the subway scene before they get to Bill's. Also, they never did the bird shot, where it's the bird in the little river. And I was waiting for it, which is really cute, at the beginning of the Bill section. But the "you do what I say when I say it" repeated, and then she says, like, what you say goes instead of repeating it, because she's understanding that she really has no power in this situation, but she's still a little sassy, and she doesn't exactly want to repeat it like a fucking moron little child, like he's trying to belittle her. And it's like it's the meanest scene Joel ever has, even more than he's killing all those people. Who cares about that? He's mean to Ellie. And it's when he's the most, like, repressing his emotions, sort of macho situation. Just the way he's sitting in that scene in the game and everything. They redid it, and I guess it works because you haven't gone through the Bill stuff with them. So after that, he's obviously changed a little bit. Because he has that moment with Ellie where he's like, where they're in the car, and it's sort of a sweet moment. And they sort of have a similar thing after even that talk here with the seatbelt and stuff like that. But yeah. What was I talking about? Oh, they rearranged things, but it kind of works because the Bill stuff happened, but it didn't happen to them. I was also going to say, it feels really mean in the game, but in the show it didn't really. It felt a little bit more mundane, which was interesting. Also, I started the stream with this because I played as the intro song, the Take On Me scene. With Dina and Ellie. And my god, looking at it. My god, The Last of Us Part 2 is the best thing of all time. Just looking at Dina and remembering the character. My goodness. Better than this fucking television show, I'll tell you that much. What a fucking video game. The second best things humans ever created after Mad Men. What are we talking about here? Oh, they did another scene in a Naughty Dog game where somebody's singing a love song and it's not subtle at all and everybody involved gets it. And it's because Joel does it when he sings the Pearl Jam song for the first time to Ellie at the beginning of the first game. And it's not subtle at all, but it wins Ellie over. Maybe I'll finally make a video about that scene. Greatest scene of all time. Then, obviously, the Take On Me scene where Ellie's obviously singing to Dina and she gets it. And then they did it again in this. And I was like, oh my god, they're doing the Part 2 thing. Every time the show makes me think of Part 2, obviously, I like it a little bit more. But that was so great. Also, fake fan, all the reactors I saw giving their rips to the actor that passed. Oh, I don't know. Did an actor die or something? I have no idea. The episode kind of replicates the whole thing in the game of finding notes and working out what their lives were. Well, yes, I did think that too. Because obviously they find the note. They're also playing up the Tess thing, which is obviously a consistent thing with the show and sort of how Tess and Joel are like life partners, kind of. They're basically a married couple. I did like all that stuff, like him telling her to protect Tess and Ellie freezing at that moment. There's something just like that in the first game too, but I'm having trouble recalling it on the spot here, where Ellie's reading something but she freezes mid-sentence. Or am I thinking about a fucking Mad Men scene? I think I'm thinking about the Allison scene where she's reading the note from Sally to Don for Christmas. The two best things humans ever created, alright? I'm allowed to confuse them. But maybe there is a moment in The Last of Us Part 1. I don't like that I call it Part 1. That's such a Nate thing. Besides the point. Neil called Tess Joe's romantic partner in the inside the episode. Yes. And they're obviously together in the game, but they kind of intentionally downplay that to kind of seem sophisticated in the game. But yeah. The Poor Ellie saw the bones in the dirt, so sad. That was an interesting scene. But yeah. By interesting, I mean maybe wasn't as impactful as they were hoping. Do mass graves just not depress me? I feel like there are scenes in other things with mass graves, and I'm just like, well, I know they're dead and they're just skeletons. It's not that sad. Lamau. The Tess game actor passed away, but she had the best voice. My goodness. Was she old? The mass grave in Chainsaw Man is sick. Oh my god. I don't remember. When the fuck does Chainsaw Man have a mass grave? Are we just talking about... Oh, those mass graves are cool, where they're like headstones and stuff. I'm talking about like what do you call it? Unmarked mass graves. Like Evangelion has the exact same thing as Chainsaw Man, but it's way cooler because it's Evangelion. And Chainsaw Man's pretty good, but let's halt it. Let's halt it a little bit, huh? It's no fucking Neon Genesis Evangelion. That's the third greatest thing humans ever made. She died of cancer. My goodness. Oh, what's the implication? What illness does he have? Frank in the episode. I assume it's some type of cancer or something. It affects his legs. I don't know. Ligma. That's a good one. My guess would be brain cancer or like Parkinson's. Okay, so I'm not a big fucking idiot for not getting it immediately through context. They said it was Ligma in the inside the episode thing. Incredible. What else is there to talk about? Because we bookend it with Joel and Ellie. Them walking through places is always cool. That's pretty. I guess the rest of it is just Bill and Frank build up. The melancholy of, I don't know, my biggest nightmare in life is getting cancer or something, where it's like you have like 3 months to live, and I would just be depressed the whole 3 months, thinking that I'm wasting it or something, and it's the worst feeling in the world. So setting that up in stories always does get to me a little bit. So setting up the last day and then the melancholy of that, it was handled very well. It was great. What a twist at the end. They both died. Oh, my goodness. No sad endings here. I don't know. Are we running out of things to say? This is why I probably should take notes. It was an hour and 15 minutes long, and that was interesting, because I was wondering if just the first episode would be that long. But now the third episode was, so who knows how long the rest of these episodes will be. Is there a chance they're alive? Then maybe the Metacritic score will be correct. I was going to talk about the episode preview. We watched it before we started recording here. It seems like the one big character they were promoting in the marketing, the girl who's assumingly a leader of some sort of hunter type thing, they're making the hunters not as fucking dumb and boring as they are in that first game, which seems interesting, and she's going to be in the next episode, which is good. I'm interested to see how that plays out. We still haven't got Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker's characters yet. That'll be a massive soy moment when we see him. That'll be fun. Would be trash if they died off screen. They're alive. More Nateisms in the chat. That's not a Nateism, I guess. Who was mad? Oh, I think that was Carmine being stupid about that. Ashley Johnson is in episode 8. Well, Mr. R, Mr. Big fucking Spoilers over here, just ruining everything. Does that mean she's going to be like one of David's fucking bros? Maybe she'll be a scientist with the monkeys. Oh, they were making monkey jokes, Lamau, because we're going to see the monkeys later. That was a good one. There are some other little things that are like Last of Us references that I'm smart enough to get, chat, but I don't recall them at this moment. She's Ellie. No, dude. Ellie's mother. Oh, yeah, there was something about that. Episode 8 is an Ellie flashback episode. Well, we're just continuing with the spoilers here. We're going to give him back at least 2 Chainsaw Man spoilers, but we'll get back to that later. I had heard that. Maybe Minty had told me that the episode 8 thing was going to be the Ellie flashback, but I completely forgotten about it. So I guess her being Ellie's mother would be interesting. I was kind of interested to see them interact. I guess she'll interact with baby Ellie for like 3 seconds before she dies. Did she die in birth? I guess not. I don't know. I don't remember the backstory. We do know this, how terrible. We do know this, how terrible. The Ellie's mother thing? I don't know what Miller's talking about. Are you going to watch Chernobyl after this? I mean, maybe. Isn't it like 4 episodes? If it's more than 4 episodes, then fuck no. My goodness. It really going to have the Netflix model of the second last episode is a flashback. Isn't there going to be 10 episodes? Dude needs to watch Chernobyl. You need to watch plenty of things, Mr. Don't start with me. It's 5 episodes, but one is only half an hour. Now that's what I want to hear. Still not watching it, though. Tell me something to talk about, chat. In my ass, Kyle. I watched and read more than you. Well, that's on you, big fella. That's your problem. It's like 2 a.m., so I guess your terrible reading is understandable. I'm wide awake. I don't know. 2 a.m. I'm not going to bed for at least 3 hours after this. The game's still better, right? More fun? Yeah, I guess the game is still better. If somebody said that the show was better than the game, I would be mad. But Miller saying that kind of made me mad. So how do I feel about this? I guess I'm in the middle. I guess they're both like 8 out of 10s. They're pretty good. They might both be 9 out of 10s. I think I'm being a little harsh when I call the first game 8 out of 10. But they shouldn't have fucking made that second game so good if they wanted me to still respect the first one. It's nowhere near as good as Last of Us Part 2. Let's just get that out of the way. No way the Last of Us game is fun, 0 out of 10. I forgot that's what Heath is. He's the Naughty Dog games aren't real games dude. I remember now. Shooting a zombie is more enjoyable than this entire series, to be honest. I mean, playing video games is lame, alright? So we don't like gameplay here. But it is fun, huh? I feel like all the good gameplay memories I do have are from the second game. But I like that first game, you know? It's pretty good. Like a 9 out of 10 or something. Surely you think the DLC has better gameplay, Kyle? Oh, Donkey Kong Country? Absolutely not. This fucking piece of shit fucking game. Doesn't even jump when I tell it to. Joel jumps when I tell him to. That was a funny joke. And I still haven't played any more of this fucking shitty Donkey Kong game. I thought he was talking about DLC here. Didn't even come into my mind that he could be talking about Donkey Kong in my fucking video. You would have loved a guy I worked with. His opinion was that Naughty Dog games were the world's most expensive point-and-click games, Lamau. People just call them movies. There are plenty of YouTube videos I've watched about this. Are we ending it? I feel like I've been trying to end it for 10 minutes, but I always think of something else to say. I like the slow 20 minutes or so we had with Joel and Ellie at the beginning. Just like I like the slow Ellie, Joel, and Tess moments at the beginning of the last episode. Those were fun. Stab a fucking zombie in the head. That was fun. Bro, the zombie's like eye moved, like he was watching it, like he was almost afraid. Can zombies be afraid? That was crazy. Did you like the rain visual effects? Felt very real. I mean, I just assumed it was raining. I don't know. There was something that reminded me of, where I was like, oh, this is another Last of Us moment, and they're cutting to this part. But I don't remember. They changed the song in the car, but they changed it to the Bill and thingy song. Frank, that's his fucking name. There was another change, but I can't remember it now, because it related to the song in the car. Oh, also in the preview, it doesn't look like Joel says, he ain't even hurt, and then drives into him. God, what great voices they have in that game, huh? Definitely the game has better voices. Well, this fucking show is pretty good, huh? Honestly, don't take my game opinions too seriously. Apart from visual novels and gacha, I haven't played games for years. True, based. Let's be real, it's not messed up to experiment with cutting zombies like that. Let's be real, it's not messed up. I don't know. Did any bad background stick out this time? The plane looked bad. The set design is great, though. Miller complaining about the backgrounds or whatever. This has been a reoccurring thing too. I think we're ending them. These last two videos are usually like 30 minutes long. It's no House of the Dragon, right? It doesn't get full hours or hour and a half. Also, there's no Elite RE to talk to because he's a coward and won't get in chat. And not just text chat, but voice chat. So how do you reckon Bill and Frank, how old do you reckon Bill and Frank were when they died? Well, they looked like 40 at least in the beginning, but they were probably older. So they're probably like 65 or something. Yeah, they didn't look 70. So they were like 40 to 60, I'm saying. I guess as they've been like mid-60s going on 70s. They did put on Frank the old person spots on the face. But Bill looked relatively young. I don't know. Maybe I'll join one day when the show does something I can talk about. Shake my head 40. They aged like Obi-Wan. I don't know what that means, and I hate Star Wars. With that, we're ending the YouTube video. Everybody, we will be back next week, hopefully on time, rather than a few days late. I think I learned my lesson. Show good. Game good. Part 2 better. Golf joke. Lamau. Well, that being said, support links in the description below. Thanks.